Demon's Souls PlayStation 5 review, my fair review. Well, I finally got to play Demon's Souls, the game that started the entire Souls-like madness. From Software's beta test for Dark Souls 1, let's rate it properly as it deserves. First section is the story. What is there to say about the story of the cursed land of Boletaria? You are there to stop the demons from consuming the last remnants of the destroyed land. The entire game is way much less confusing than Dark Souls, for example, but it's still very unclear of why you are in Boletaria and why you're doing all the things and what's your benefit out of it all. There are very few puzzle-like descriptions on items, and frankly Demon's Souls feels like a real beta test for the Dark Souls. That doesn't take away from its world and atmosphere though. This is the game that's directly responsible for one of the most popular genres in the world. Confusing story and very confusing writing. 5 out of 10 for the story. Next section will be game bugs and optimization. Playing this game on 4K with 60 FPS is impossible. Tops you'll get is 20 FPS on average. Playing on performance mod is way much better and smoother. There are some minor non-game breaking bugs, but overall it's a well-polished game. Loading screens are fast, controls are very responsive. You can even hear enemies dying on a gamepad. 9 out of 10 for game bugs and optimization. Next section would be game time. This is the shortest Souls-like by far, with next to no replay value. It took me around 20 hours to finish the game. Speedrun value is there, as in every other Souls-like. Game is free to play on PlayStation Plus, so that's a great value. After all, overpriced if you wanna buy though. I would not give it more than 10 bucks for this one, but that's how life is. 7 out of 10 for the game time. Next section would be game difficulty. The famous starter of Souls difficulty. Game is infuriating. Not in terms of bosses as other Souls-likes, but in terms of enemies, traps, dragons spitting fire on you, poison swamps, and of course, taking a full run to reach the boss through mega aggressive enemies if it happens that you die on a boss. Now thank god there are very few bosses in a game that are actually hard to beat. I took most of them out on the very first try. Puzzle bosses are those I suffered the most from, and there are a lot of puzzle bosses in this game. 6 out of 10 for the game difficulty. Next section will be maps and graphics. Hands down, this is the best looking Souls-like ever created. Graphics are just gorgeous. Map variety is there as well, with one of the biggest and most famous main hubs ever, the Nexus. Boletaria map, the very first map, is probably the best map ever created in a Souls-like history. The rest of the game doesn't follow up with the beauty of Boletaria, and of course, later on, everything gets ruined with swamps, caves, and similar crap maps. I'm ready to forgive everything cause Boletaria Castle, or Boletaria City, call it however you like, is one impressive and best constructed map in a Souls-like history. It really is. I would replay the game only to enjoy Boletaria Castle once more, and that would be the only reason. 9 out of 10 for maps and graphics. Next section would be gameplay. Slow-paced, block, parry, and dodge, then hit and retreat action game, full with backtracking options, tough encounters, and epic gigantic boss fights. A prototype of what's to become one of the best games ever created. Dark Souls. Is it fun? Yes and no. Exploration is great, dodging traps and advancing feels tense, but all of that falls apart once you reach the boss. Reason is very simple. Enemies and bosses do not have more than 2 or 3 movesets, and they are very easy to learn. This game actually kills you with traps and narrow corridors, as well as smacking walls instead of enemies with your weapon. There is that unique mechanic with health and corporeal form. The more you die, the more new areas will open up to backtrack. The less you die, the more new different areas will open up to backtrack as well. Whenever you die, your health will be reduced by 50% until you recover your form back by killing a boss or chugging a consumable. Healing is also limited, and this game could present a big problem for those that are new to the genre. I loved around 40% of this game and I hated around 60% of it, hence 4 out of 10 for the gameplay. Next section would be leveling and itemization. Oh well, you kill enemies and bosses, you get souls, you level up in Nexus and equip better gear and consumables. As in all other Souls-likes, you can enhance weapons to deal more damage. Leveling options are poor, and simplistic itemization is probably the weakest in the genre. Compared to other Souls-likes, item variety is very low, 6 out of 10 for leveling and itemization. Next section would be NPCs and enemies. Patches is there for jokes, plenty of NPCs to meet along the way for more info on the world you are in. Of course, they all talk nonsense as they always do in Souls-likes. Enemy variety is huge for a short game. There are, I believe, around 16 bosses in total, and most of them are gigantic epic battles that are much easier than the road that leads towards them. AI is solid, nothing special, just solid, 6 out of 10 for NPCs and enemies. Last section would be music and sound. Great atmospheric music, amazing sound effects and full voice cover. Voice acting is more than solid. The game is very immersive on a gamepad because it produces sound as well. 9 out of 10 for music and sound. Final verdict. We got 61 points in 9 sections, and that would be 6.7 out of 10 for Demon's Souls in 2024. Solid game and best looking Souls-like to date, only for the fans of the genre. Now, what are the main problems, or should I say cons, of Demon's Souls? Lack of shortcuts, most of the bosses are far in the level, fatigue can settle in for the player, no jumping available like in other Souls-likes, world tendency is really stupid mechanic, and it's not explained well, lack of tutorials, especially for new players, online is plagued with hackers, so play Demon's Souls offline only. Item burden, or should I say bad balancing. Encumbrance, thank god that's removed from other Souls-likes though, but Demon's Souls suffers from encumbrance. Bad endgame, confusing as well, ruined last 40% of the game. It doesn't look like classic Demon's Souls from the start. Weapon upgrades require farming. There are more problems of course, but considering how old the game is, its mechanics are actually still holding on after all this time. I had solid amount of fun, and I'll always say how Boletaria Castle is one of the best maps ever created in a video gaming history. The rest of the game was just a big beta prototype for the upcoming titles from Software. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.